You ever sit down with a project estimate in front of you and just feel that knot in your stomach? You know, that little voice whispering, "Did I miss something? Am I bidding too low? Too high?" I've been there more times than I care to admit, and if you're honest with yourself, you probably have too. Estimating and bidding has always been part art, part science, and a whole lot of pressure. But lately, there's a new player in town, AI. And I don't mean some flashy, overhyped system that promises to make you a billionaire overnight. I mean practical, grounded tools that can actually help people like us make smarter estimates, bid more accurately, and ultimately win more work without losing our sanity. Let's start with the basics. When we talk about estimating, what are we really doing? At its core, it's trying to predict the cost, time, and resources required to complete a project. It sounds simple when you say it out loud, but anyone who's been in construction, engineering, or even software development knows it's anything but. There are countless variables: materials, labor, subcontractors, timelines, unexpected delays, and each one can tip your bottom line. A tiny miscalculation can mean a project that looks profitable on paper ends up draining money and hours from your team. Now imagine having a tool that can help you process all that information faster, highlight potential blind spots, and even suggest adjustments based on patterns it's seen in past projects. That's where AI comes in. The first thing I want to make clear is this: AI doesn't replace your experience. It doesn't replace your judgment, your understanding of your team, or your ability to navigate client relationships. Think of it like a very sharp assistant, one that never sleeps, remembers everything, and can pull insights from hundreds of past projects in seconds. Let me give you a practical example. A friend of mine runs a mid-sized electrical contracting business. They used to spend days crunching numbers on each bid, digging through past invoices, adjusting for inflation, checking labor rates. It was exhausting, and mistakes were inevitable. When they started using AI-powered estimating software, the process didn't suddenly become magic. What happened was that the AI could instantly analyze hundreds of past projects, detect patterns and costs that my friend might have overlooked, and highlight areas where bids had historically been too low. The result? Bids were more accurate, the team spent less time on tedious calculations, and they started winning more work because clients sensed their confidence and professionalism. One thing I hear a lot is, "But Richard, won't AI just make everyone's estimates the same? Doesn't it take the creativity and human judgment out of the process?" And I get that, I really do. But here's the thing: AI isn't about replacing intuition, it's about supporting it. You're still the one deciding strategy, assessing risks, and negotiating terms. AI simply gives you a clearer picture of where your estimates might be off or where opportunities exist to be competitive without undercutting yourself. Let's break down some of the core ways AI is helping in estimating and bidding. First, data analysis. In traditional estimating, you might have a spreadsheet with costs for materials, labor rates, subcontractor quotes, and overhead. That's fine for a handful of projects, but once you scale, it gets messy fast. AI can sift through thousands of data points, identify trends, and make comparisons that humans would take weeks to figure out. That doesn't just speed up the process, it reduces the risk of missing something critical. Next is scenario modeling. Imagine you're bidding on a renovation project and you're unsure about labor availability in 2 months. AI can simulate different scenarios. What happens if labor costs rise, if material delivery is delayed, or if unexpected work is needed, and show you the probable impact on your bottom line. That's not a guess, it's an informed projection. You can adjust your bid, add contingencies, or even negotiate better timelines with your client before you submit the proposal. Another area is historical benchmarking. Every business has a set of projects that went really well and others that were painful headaches. AI can learn from those outcomes. Maybe your bids on certain types of projects were consistently too low, or perhaps certain subcontractors consistently over-delivered for the price. AI can flag those patterns, helping you avoid repeating mistakes and lean into strategies that have worked in the past. Now, I want to pause here and address a common concern I hear: accuracy versus flexibility. Some folks worry that if they rely on AI, their bids become rigid, formulaic, or too conservative. That's only true if you treat AI as a replacement rather than the tool. The magic happens when you combine your industry knowledge with AI insights. For instance, you might notice that AI suggests adding 10% for materials based on historical data, but you know that your supplier is running a promotion next month, so you adjust accordingly. The AI doesn't have your on-the-ground knowledge, it enhances it. I also want to talk about collaboration. Estimating and bidding isn't a solo act in most businesses. You're coordinating with project managers, subcontractors, and sometimes the client before even submitting a bid. AI can serve as a neutral baseline for discussions. Instead of arguing over numbers that feel arbitrary, your team can look at what the data suggests, debate assumptions, and arrive at a consensus faster. It reduces friction, saves time, and ultimately makes everyone more confident in the final bid. Let's not gloss over another point: time savings. I've seen estimating teams spend days on a single project, manually inputting data, checking figures, and cross-referencing past work. When AI is introduced thoughtfully, it can cut that time by half or more. That doesn't just free up your team to focus on client relationships, strategy, and project planning, it also reduces the mental fatigue that comes with repetitive number crunching. When your brain isn't burned out from spreadsheets, you're more likely to catch subtle errors and make smarter decisions. And while we're on numbers, let's talk about risk. Every project has it. Weather, supply chain delays, labor shortages, and unexpected client changes can all impact your profitability. AI can't predict the weather, but it can analyze patterns from similar projects and highlight where risk is statistically higher. That means you can price your bid in a way that accounts for uncertainty without being overly cautious or underestimating. It's about being smart, not paranoid. I should also mention integration. Most modern AI estimating tools are designed to plug into the software you're already using, your project management system, accounting tools, or CRM. That's critical because the less time you spend transferring data between systems, the less room there is for error. Plus, having a single source of truth makes reporting, auditing, and post-project analysis far simpler. Now, you might be thinking, Richard, all of this sounds great, but isn't AI expensive? Here's the reality. It doesn't have to be. There are scalable options for small, mid-sized, and large businesses. The key is understanding your goals and picking the tools that match your workflow. I've seen small contractors get huge value from AI-powered spreadsheets that incorporate predictive analytics, while larger firms might invest in fully integrated platforms that cover estimating, bidding, and project management. Start small, prove the value, and scale up. One thing I always emphasize is training and adaptation. Even the best AI system is useless if your team doesn't understand how to use it. It's not just about inputting numbers, it's about interpreting insights, asking the right questions, and making informed decisions. That's where experience comes in. You need someone who knows the business, the nuances of projects, and the expectations of clients. AI doesn't replace that, it amplifies it. Finally, I want to touch on the human factor. Estimating and bidding isn't just a math problem, it's a relationship problem. Clients want confidence, transparency, and reliability. AI can give you the numbers to back up your bids, but it doesn't replace your ability to communicate, negotiate, and build trust. Think of it as a backstage crew that makes the performance on stage smoother and more professional. So, if you're someone who's been hesitant about AI, here's my advice. Approach it with curiosity, not fear. Start by exploring what's already in your workflow that could be enhanced by predictive analytics, historical benchmarking, or scenario modeling. Talk to teams who've implemented AI thoughtfully. They'll tell you it's not about flashy promises, but practical improvements that save time, reduce errors, and improve confidence. I know this is a lot to take in, but I promise, when used right, AI doesn't complicate estimating, it simplifies it. It frees you to focus on strategy, client relationships, and growth rather than getting lost in spreadsheets and what-ifs. And the truth is, whether you like it or not, AI is becoming a standard part of the industry. Those who embrace it thoughtfully will have an edge, not because the AI is smarter than them, but because it allows them to make smarter decisions faster. In the next segment, we'll dig into specific strategies, real-world examples, and some of the tools that I've personally seen work in estimating and bidding. I'll show you how to integrate AI without losing your edge, how to read the insights it provides, and how to make it part of a practical, repeatable workflow that actually delivers results.
So let's talk about some concrete strategies for bringing AI into your estimating and bidding workflow without turning everything upside down. The first approach I like to suggest is starting with historical project data. Most businesses have years of records sitting in spreadsheets, accounting software, or project management tools. The key isn't just having the data, it's knowing what to look for. AI can analyze things like average labor hours per project type, materials costs over time, and patterns in subcontractor performance. Once you feed that data into a system, it can flag anomalies you might have missed and give you ranges for more accurate estimates. The beauty of this approach is that it doesn't require huge investments in new technology. You're using what you already have, but smarter. Next, consider scenario planning. I mentioned it before, but it's worth diving a bit deeper. Imagine bidding on a complex project with multiple trades involved. With AI, you can simulate different conditions. What happens